welcome to another amazing day at fmtraining.tv. I'm here with the wonderful Calvin Moseman. My name is Margaret. I will be your broadcast engineer for today if the Mir Pro would like to work. There we go. Hi! Hello everyone, we're here to talk about the fantastic and amazing FileMaker platform. FileMaker is a fantastic platform. We're here to talk about it and improve our skills, learn new tricks, figure out things we've never done before. Today is kind of unique in that respect. We're discussing and using Siri with FileMaker, which is a concept I'd never considered before Calvin brought up. He's like, do you want to do a live stream of this? I said, actually, this would be cool. It's something different. So we're glad to be doing that today. A quick reminder, we stream on 3 platforms. We stream on YouTube, we stream on Discord, we stream on Twitch. We're here to work with the FileMaker community and talk to you guys, so please talk back to us, give us feedback, ask questions. I do watch all of those chats, even the really quiet ones. So what is our schedule for this week? Today we've got integrating Siri. Wednesday and Thursday are what is a value. Friday is file maintenance, compressed copies, recover command, and FileMaker with Jacob Taylor. Monday is multi-record selection and FileMaker for beginners, and Tuesday will be drag and drop in FileMaker with the Monkey Bread plugin. So Christian Schmitz returns for some drag and drop funsies. Real quick, if you'd like to support our channel, we do have our bundle. Basically, we do this 5 days a week for pretty much free. You guys show up, but if you're like, I would like to actually have a more specific topic on something that you guys don't talk about, or I'd like to support the channel so you guys can keep going, we have these bundles. They are 100 plus hours of video content done by Richard. And if you know Richard, you know he was very entertaining. He talks at high speed. He's got about 20 times more energy than I do, and he's 30 years older than I am. So, hey. So, if you would like to support the channel, please feel free to do that. We talk about pretty much everything in them, from WebDirect, Cloud Server, FileMaker Pro, Go. Pick it, we discuss it. So if you want to learn more FileMaker or support us, feel free to do that. We would greatly appreciate it. Ruben would like to know, Calvin, if Siri works on Windows.
No. Siri's just a Apple thing.
I know, it's a joke, Ruben. You're good. I'm just going to state that out loud.
From what I've read, Siri was originally this AI assistant that was developed by some Scandinavian developer, and he had a son. He and his partner were expecting a baby, and if it was a girl, the name would be Siri, but it wasn't a girl, it was a boy, so he named his app Siri instead. And then Steve Jobs liked it, so Apple bought it and then put it in as a default in the iPhone. Let me see if I can change my sound for you.
Yeah, people are saying you're quiet. Yeah.
Keep talking.
Oh, there you go.
Better?
That's much better. You're also now very loud. Okay, so
let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll start talking about this.
Excellent.
So we're talking about Siri. There's actually a few different things that are coming into play here. So one is Siri, which is the voice assistant on Apple devices. It started on the iPhone and moved to the iPad and is now on Mac OS. And you'll see I have a little icon up here for Siri up next to the day and time. And then it also makes use of another app called Shortcuts. And Shortcuts you will find on the latest version of the Mac OS. And to get this to work, you have to be running the latest version of Mac OS, which is 12.2. And so that is required for this to work. And you probably have to have the latest version of FileMaker Pro as well. So it's making use of this app called Shortcuts. It used to be called Workflow, and then Apple bought it and called it Shortcuts, and it kind of replaced Automator. And so Automator might still be in there, but they've leaned more into using this. So we have these different shortcuts that we can create and run. And let's go ahead and try one out. So this name that we have for the name is whatever, that's what Siri's listening for. So I'm going to start off and then try this first one. I'll say, hey Siri, what's happening at fmtraining.tv? Hey Siri, what's happening at fmtraining.tv? And so when I asked that, it opened up this web browser and actually brought us right to the live training tab so I could see what's going on here. So let's go ahead and see how Siri knew to do that. Did everyone hear that? Did anyone hear Siri? I'm guessing you heard me, but not Siri.
I'm pretty sure if they can't hear it through me, then they're not going to be able to hear it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. So here is it's a real short shortcut. It only has one step. So I said, hey, what's happening at fmtraining.tv? And it opened up the URL for that. And it opened up the URL that I told it to. So you can point this to other things as well. Let's try this one. And if you don't want to try Hey Siri, I think it's open today's live stream. Okay, it got stuck. Let's try this one more time. Open today's live stream. So this time, it ran this one. And you can run these also without going through Siri. You can just press the play button, and it will run as well. So in this, it's a similar action. Let's go ahead and open it up. And instead of opening up to fmtraining.tv, we're just opening up the Discord link. Now, if we create a new one of these, we can see all of the different apps and options. So here's our categories and some options down here. Send a message, start a call, open an app. If we go over here to apps, we'll see specific apps or specific actions for various apps and what you can do. Let's go ahead and find FileMaker. Now under FileMaker, there's only one option, which is to run a script. So let's go ahead and try this out. So I've got this one called Add a New Contact. So, hey Siri, add a new contact to FMSP. And that time it worked. I was expecting it not to work.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
So sometimes if you use a name like contact in here, Siri gets confused and thinks you're talking about the contacts app, and might not run correctly. But in this case, you'll see it opened up FileMaker, navigated to the contacts layout, created a new record, and entered the first name field. So I can say John Smith. He's an officer. And so it navigated right there and brought me to my app, and I could make a change there. So how's this working? Let's go ahead and create a new one. And we're going to go to FileMaker. Select FileMaker Pro and select Run a Script because that's our one option. And it gives us an option to select a file. Now, we'll notice that there's one file here, and that's great. We'll select this file, and then we'll say Run Script. And in that script, we've got only 3 scripts that we can choose from. New contact, new task, today's invoices, I'll say new task. I can put a parameter in there if I want. I'm going to leave that blank though. Okay, I'll just keep an eye on it.
Yep.
So here we are telling it to run a new task, and we can give it a parameter, and we're just going to call this run. By default, it says run FileMaker script, and so we'll just leave that name. Let's go ahead and close it. Say, hey Siri, run FileMaker script. Run FileMaker script. So it ran this new task script, which opened tasks and then created a new to-do. And I can put in whatever I want this to do to be. Live stream at 1 o'clock. So there we go. So how is this working? How does it see these records? Because you'll notice when we did that, when I open this one and I see that I only have 3 scripts in here, when there's a lot of scripts, a lot more than 3 options. And also there was only one option for we only have one file option. So what's going on here? What we have to do is give FileMaker permission to use one of these scripts. So you can right click on any one of these scripts and say disable shortcut donation or enable shortcut donation. So that tells Siri that that's a script that it's allowed to run. I suppose we could just select all, and I guess they won't let us do more than one at a time. Maybe not. Oh, it will. So now that we enabled 3 new ones, we can go back to shortcuts and select new task. And now we've got a bunch more options in here to select from. Now, now it knows right now the only file that I'm working on that has that option enabled is this copy of FM starting point. If I go to another app, we'll say this Red Downtown app, go to scripts, and I'm going to just call one Go Siri, and right click on this one and say enable shortcut donation. Actually, maybe the app needs to be open as well. So now that this one's enabled and the file's open, if I go back to shortcuts, we'll see we have, let's try that again. We don't have the second file in there. That's interesting. Do I need to save this? Maybe run the script and see if that makes a difference. So interestingly, it doesn't have the UI one in there. Let's try just a brand new one and see if that will bring it up. FileMaker Pro, run script, select file, still not there, huh? So in the past, actually, earlier today, I was having trouble removing them from removing file options because I was trying to take my client files out of there. But in this case, it's not showing up. Maybe we just need to quit and restart. Let's try that. Quit shortcuts. Open shortcuts back up. Go to livestream. Run FileMaker script. And it's still not there. I guess I did close the file. Let's try that one more time. And we'll go back to shortcuts. Quit shortcuts, go back to shortcuts. Live stream. Let's do a new one. FileMaker script, file, still not there. So you can have it ask you each time which file you want to run. And so there's a little flexibility of the back and forth between Siri and you selecting what you want to have done in FileMaker. Let's look at a couple others of these. So in each of the demos that I had, in one case, we are creating new contact, which we showed. The second was we're showing today's invoices. And so we're navigating to invoices, performing a find, and showing that list. So let's try that. Hey Siri, what invoices are there today? That you might have heard, or you probably didn't hear. Siri said done. So it navigated to invoices and performed a find. You'll see we've got 2 records, and this is the record that was created today. So you could view a chart, view what stats are going on today, something like that. If we, and one thing that you want to notice though is that whatever words you use to call this, you would need those words would need to match here. So if I say, hey Siri, What are today's invoices? What are today's invoices? What are today's invoices?
It's hung
So
up on
it just
Finder.
is confused and doesn't know what to do. What's that?
Oh, nothing. I was just go ahead. You're good.
Okay. So thinking about this, I was thinking new contact, that might be something pretty common that we want to do. What are today's invoices? What's the actions today? What create a new task? I thought that would be a good example of what are some other things that we might want to do, and we can walk through this. In this case, I'm using FM starting point. Anyone have any want to contribute an idea or whatever?
So what would you like to see FileMaker do? And
Or do we have any questions?
we do actually. Sheagle, does that automatically enable it for Siri on Go when you click the enable?
I believe it should. I haven't tested this out on Go, but the shortcuts was originally a Go app, and you can share these. So if I select share, you could put it in a note and share it to your phone. If you're using iCloud, these might already be synced to your phone.
So hopefully that answers your question, Sheagle. I see Ken typing. How does the FMP preferences panel tie in to enable these shortcut donations?
FileMaker Pro preference? I don't think the preferences are... Oh, shortcuts. Oh, okay. So enable files for script donations. So in this case, I assume if I removed this, it would stop working. So let's try that. I don't think this will work. Hey Siri, run FileMaker script. Yeah, so she tried to run it, but the file name didn't work because of that preference. Let's go ahead back over to this preferences and enable it again. Shortcuts, enable. And so that's probably why I'm not seeing the this one in the red downtown showing up as an option. If I go over here to preferences, shortcuts, and I'm not sure how we would add a new one in there.
Maybe you try re-enabling, like remake the script. Maybe the script had a moment.
Maybe. Just select them all.
Huh. Not even an option if you want to select them all. Ah, it's mad about the...
It might be mad about the separator.
Yeah, it is.
So enable shortcuts. And we'll see if that fixed it. So shortcuts, still not there. Interesting. But obviously we would need to have that added for that to work.
If a file, oh, interesting. Ken brought up something interesting related to this. If a file no longer has scripts to be donated, or if the FMURL script extended privilege is no longer enabled, the file is removed from the list.
Oh.
Maybe the privilege set has been enabled for this.
Well, the extended privilege set must have to be enabled. That's interesting that this is tied in with the URL protocol, because that's something we've kind of walked away from in preference for other things, referencing it in other ways. So here we go to admin and say allow URL to run FileMaker scripts.
Maybe this will fix it. Okay.
And let's just hope that's admin. Okay. So now when we go to manage,
you're in the wrong database.
Preferences.
Well, actually, it should. There it went. Yeah, there we go. Yep.
So there we go. All right. So what do we see there? So we have to have the FM URL protocol enabled. So now we're seeing that both files are visible here. And when I select the downtown, we're going to see all those scripts visible. And it's good to note that you can enable a script to be called, but it has to be enabled in both places. The URL protocol has to be enabled, and the enable shortcuts donation has to be enabled as well. So sometimes it feels like we have everything ready, but then there's another problem that comes up.
Well, hey, now people know.
Now we know. So that's great. So let's go ahead and back to so one more that I wanted to look at is this one. Unless somebody had another action built that we might use in FM starting point.
Ruben wanted to know if you could make a new contact and tell Siri the name of the contact.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to do that. So if we go to this one where we select the parameter, I don't know. Well, it says we could insert a variable. So ask each time. Let's try that. So we'll say run script, new contact with this parameter that it will ask for. And we will say in the script, we'll say new contact, go to field, set field, and name first. Oops, say TO5, name first with get script parameter. So let's try this out. It might work. Back over here. Hey Siri, run script, FileMaker script 1. Run FileMaker script 1. John Doe.
Yes.
There we go.
That's cool.
So we could say, but there has to be that interaction. We can't just have it in our first option. But but having it ask, and now I just want to play more with the shortcuts and see if there's a way we can pull the parameter out of the initial action. But having that, there can be this back and forth between the user and FileMaker to get these to get something to work. So look at this FM starting point action. I'm not even specifying the file. I'm not sure this is going to work. I'm going to choose a file, and actually I'm going to leave that. Say ask each time. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this one. In this case, what I'm saying is I'm not even telling it to do anything. I'm just saying do something in FileMaker. So let's try FM starting point actions. Hey Siri, FM starting point actions. FM starting point 20 USB. I'm going to click on it. So now it's asking me which script, new contact. Today's invoices. And now it's found today's invoices. So in that interaction, I suppose if you had simpler file names, it might be easier for Siri to hear it. But in this case, she asked me which file I wanted to, and I ended up clicking on it. But you could say it, and you couldn't hear it, but she's reading them back to me. So I asked Siri to do the FM starting point action, and they said, which file do you want to use? And you click it or say it. It goes to there and then gives me a list of all of the available scripts, and I can say which script to do, and it ran it. In this case, I wasn't able to say the file name or get her to hear it, but I was able to say the script name and was able to get that. So one thing that I would do, or I've done with doing these integrations, is I have specific scripts in the app that are designated as shortcuts for the shortcut donation, without selecting the master script that has the number associated with it. And what that does is it keeps them a little bit separated. And sometimes you want their basic actions you might put at the top of your script list anyway. And in these cases, we're also just referencing scripts within the app. As for example, in the new task, we're just navigating to tasks, creating a new task, and running that process. Do we have any questions, comments?
We do have quite a few of those, actually, so let me start from the top. Kind of an interesting comment from Brutterman. He says that he uses it on, I assume, shortcuts on his phone to search a database of voter records, which has 2 million records, and it works very well. So that's impressive.
Very cool.
And then,
is that I assume that's FileMaker.
I assume he's referring to FileMaker database. He used it to search FileMaker database.
Okay.
NJ had wanted to know if there's a new extended privilege for this, which I think we kind of answered with the FMURL script.
Yeah, so it's not a new privilege set. It's the FMURL privilege set, which I don't normally disable, which is why it was causing such a problem for me there. But yeah, the FMURL privilege set.
Yeah, it's an original
extended privilege.
And then NJ, does the Mac have dictation like iOS? We used iOS dictation for safety talk note taking a little while ago in a database we made.
Can you say that again?
He wants to. Does the Mac have dictation like iOS? We used the iOS dictation for note taking a little while ago in a database we made.
Oh, I believe so. So that there is a way to have it just enter text. I haven't used that, but I believe you should just be able to do talk to text. There's probably a way for doing that.
A. Colburn wants to know if we can pass multiple script parameters. Or multiple parameters, excuse me.
Yeah, that'd be a good, let's go ahead and check that out. So in FileMaker, at least with FileMaker script parameters, in regularly, there's not really multiple script parameters, but there's a way to pass multiple values as a script parameter, and then you parse those out. So there's not a spot for parameter 1, parameter 2, parameter 3, etc. But you can do a list and then get value 1, get value 2, get value 3, or you can use a JSON object as a script parameter and parse that out, or there's some custom functions that also allow multiple values to be passed. So if we were to do that in the shortcuts, so for example, we did one just a second ago where there was John Doe. So what we could do instead is say first name will be get value. The list of values will be, so we'll say list of values is the script parameter. And we're going to want value 1. And then we'll say substitute here. So we need to turn that John Doe into a list. So we're going to search for spaces and replace with returns, and then get the first name. Copy this, and then do last name, and point it to number 2. So let's go back over to our shortcuts. We'll close this, and then I believe it was, we're not specifying, where were we specifying the parameter? So insert variable, we'll say ask each time again. Hey Siri, add a new contact record to FMSP. John Doe. So now we have John Doe as we passed a parameter as John Doe, but it read it as two values. And so we have John in the first name, Doe as the last name.
Which is awesome.
What I guess a follow-up question from myself would be, what's the use case that you would think of passing multiple parameters, or are you thinking as first and last name?
Akelburn, I don't know. Again, it's a 90-second delay.
Yeah.
David Angel. David Angel, why are you on YouTube? What happened? Anyway, brief derail. Might you need to say option number instead of the name? Oh, I think that was...
Option number instead of the name?
Yeah.
As like script number 1 or script number 2?
I'm not totally sure. It's all that's written. David, if you want to clarify, please, that would be greatly appreciated. Lynn is typing. Yeah, I mean, beyond like having the first and last names, you don't have an issue where you're accidentally dumping the whole name into the first field. What happens if you say John and then spell out Doe, like Dough instead of Doe? Like, if you need to fix the automatic spelling.
Well, I guess you could put your fingers on the keyboard and fix it, but but I'd hope Siri's smart enough to know John Doe isn't spelled Dough.
I think he's saying, what if you need like someone has a weird name?
Oh yeah, so I'm not sure that I would. This is more of a demonstration of how you could to pass the multiple parameters, or how you might interpret that as multiple parameters, but not necessarily as this is going to dramatically change our workflow for creating new records. I think for creating a new record, I would think it would be faster to type it in. One thing though, Siri does kind of pay attention to your data. So it's finally has learned how to spell my name. And if I asked it to add a new task and then assign it to myself, it would probably know how to spell it, and we could have FileMaker create that task and assign it to the right record in FileMaker.
Yeah, it does pick up on that eventually. So I think you're right there that just by if it's a common use thing, then it'll probably pick up on it naturally over time.
Yeah. But probably not from obviously not from the FileMaker data. It'd be from somewhere else in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other comments?
Is your laptop plugged in, Calvin?
No, it's not.
Okay, just make it. I saw the battery. I didn't want you to accidentally like wink out on us. NJ had said maybe you would have a correct spelling script. Like what? Like have it be automatically part of the steps? But it would have to be like a specific.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to over-engineer it. So having it redo the spelling probably wasn't. I'm not sure that would be practical, but and entering data, this was a good example of just to show how it might work, but I'm curious of the everyday processes that we might do to where this might be helpful, having something that we talk to FileMaker and get a response from. And so one instance might be one situation where I set it up was showing a schedule for a given date. So say somebody wants to see the schedule for today. And actually, it's set up to the client says, "What's today's schedule?" and it just opens up the schedules for that day. And another instance is we look for whose credentials. There's a few different apps that I have where they track people's credentials that expire after a year or 2 or 4. And so it's really critical for them to see when these are expiring. And so we have a shortcut to bring that up. And so different use cases for having a what is it called? Asking Siri for some data, or asking Siri to find some data in FileMaker.
Yeah, NJ brought up what I was thinking. Useful things would be one in the car. What is my next appointment? Who is it with? Etc. Yeah, I can think of a lot of uses. Having desperately had to open FileMaker Pro when I drive with Richard to places and attempt to tell him what's happening, this would be useful for that.
Yeah, so you could say, what is my next appointment? And based on your current session in that app, it should know who you are by your user ID. And you can do a find for all of your appointments and find out which one's next and say the next one if you're tracking it that way.
Yeah, Ruben says
good idea.
He has to think about it, but I think he can think of some use cases for music teachers in his school.
Music teachers, cool.
I think this would be really useful, just general for mobile wandering around.
Yeah. So one thing, I'm not sure how billing works with for his music teachers, but I've seen scenarios where the teacher will put together this invoice over the course of like a month of all the lessons that they do for a given student. So they might have some, they would have to type that all in and whatever. But you could have a shortcut saying, add a new line item for so-and-so, for John Doe, and it could find John Doe's open invoice or create a new invoice if there isn't one, add a new line item, put in a little description saying there was a lesson or whatever, and do all that in FileMaker just at a command versus having to open FileMaker up, find the right invoice, type in the person's name, see if it isn't there. Okay, it's not there. Create a new one. Type in the description. So yeah, I could see scenarios where this could be really helpful for someone, especially in that case where they're not sitting at their computer all the time and in them focusing on the app. Any other questions, comments?
No other questions. There's kind of a comment from Ken. He said he just tested the Siri stuff on a file that is hosted on a server and closed on my laptop. It opened the file prompting me for my password, so it remembers the location of the file even on server, it appears.
Yeah, so you'll notice in that shortcut, let's go ahead and open that. It's saying where it's located. So in this case, both of them are hosted, which they're not really hosted, but they're saying they're hosted on Mac OS. So if you had it pointed to a server, it would have that server address instead. And so if I shared this with Margaret, it wouldn't work. But if I set this up to work with one that's hosted on a server and shared it with Margaret, it would work. Obviously, she'd have to have credentials. Yeah, so this was not so much a FileMaker thing as using shortcuts and Siri to interact with FileMaker and kind of opening how that kind of a beginner level of how to do that. But there's a ton of different options that you can start looking at in this shortcuts workspace, and a bunch of different options that they have in there that I'm sure we could do some really elaborate things that haven't been done before.
Yeah, I'm sure that you could mess with some really interesting scripts and cause all sorts of fun mayhem to occur.
For sure, for sure.
So, people saying it's interesting stuff. Ken wants to go play with it right now, but he has a real job.
Don't we all?
Okay. Otherwise, I don't really see any other comments. This is really cool, Calvin, honestly. It was fun to see you build this live in mess. Even if it's not like technically a direct FileMaker thing, it requires you to build scripts that work with this explicitly. So, it's interesting. Especially things like, getting the name in and all that jazz. So, thank you very much, Calvin. I think I'm going to wrap it up for today if you're good with that.
Sounds good.
We will see you all tomorrow. Thank you again, Calvin. This is great.
Not a problem. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir!